Hello, my name is Ben.
And my name is Josh.
And welcome back to FPL Graduates. And wow, it's Friday already, Josh. It's been a crazy day and a crazy week, hasn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it's just FPL is constantly on my brain, non-stop. It's absolutely madness. It's been a mad 24 hours, that's for sure. But we've got a very special guest on today, haven't we?
Yeah, we do indeed. It is James, FPL Talk on Twitter. And yeah, welcome, James. How you doing?
Hey guys, yeah, really good. I think I've had a way less stressful week than you guys by the sounds of it. I'm making no transfers, no wild cards, nothing to worry about. So yeah, really interested to see how you're going to line up this week, Josh, with your wild card.
Yeah, I mean, you sound like more prepared than I do, that's for sure. A bit all over the gaff right now, but yeah, we're not doing too bad. So we'll move straight into the first segment of this video. Obviously, you support Rangers, so we usually do on your favourite team. But why do you support Rangers? And then just speak briefly about how you watch like FPL and watch the Premier League sort of thing.
Yeah, so Rangers all comes from my family. It was just the team that I was kind of brought up on, so I didn't really have a choice. And plus, in the 90s, it was a good team to watch. It was Gaza, McCoy, Laudrup, going deep in the Champions League. It was good stuff. Bit of a revival now with Gerrard, which is a lot of fun. So it's good to see the club kind of back up there. Really good result last night in Europe. So I guess that gives me a bit of kind of objectivity when it comes to FPL. So I've got no skin in the game with any team, so I can just be completely objective and kind of follow the numbers, and that's kind of how I try to play it.
Yes, it sounds good. Right now, if you were on a wild card, top 3 players you'd be bringing in. Oh, have we lost him?
Am I back?
Yeah, you're
back. Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Good. Sorry about that, guys. Is this better? Is this better connection now?
Yeah. It's working fine. I was just saying, if you had your wild card right now, what's your top 3 players you'd bring in?
So this is a great question. So I think I've been really into Luke Shaw for ages. I think he's massively underrated. He's created more big chances and just chances in general more than anyone. Better than Trent, better than Robertson, even better than Cresswell. He's another one I'd probably have in there as well. I think that was probably, if I look back on the season, I had a kind of 50-50 call, Soufal or Cresswell, and I went with Soufal. That's probably a big regret I've got. So I'd probably look to address that in the wild card and bring Cresswell in. I'd still stick with Bruno, Salah, Son in midfield. I know people are starting to move off Salah, but I just think the upside is just too high. I think, and you can just get crushed if he puts in a big game week. So I think you have to have him up top. I'm probably looking at Bamford, Kane and Watkins as well. So, and then Martinez in goal. That's probably how I'd look to shape up. And, Diaz, I think you just got to roll with the most nailed on City defender at this point.
Yeah,
I completely agree with a lot of those picks, and I'm sure you do as well, Josh. Let's look back now into game week 24. Now, Josh, we'll go quickly through your team. How did you do in the last game week?
Yeah, so obviously we did our game week review yesterday. I got 86 points, pretty decent. Got a little green arrow, so weren't all bad. Captain Bruno, a few disappointments in terms of my strikers though, like Cavani. Antonio obviously didn't play. Bamford obviously blanked, and Son as well. So a few disappointments. Should have captained Gundo in hindsight, but not too bad. 86, I'll take it for sure.
Yeah, James, what do you make of his team for that week? Does it stand in good stead?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the boldness of the Bruno pick. I was leaning that way until like 20 past 11, on Saturday morning. Like I really wanted to do it, but I just thought I'm gonna go with the crowd and go for the double game week player, which I don't know about you guys. I'm kind of bored of all these double game weeks. I just want to get back to picking the best player with the best fixture, and in that case, it's definitely Bruno. So. Yeah, it's looking good. But obviously, you're playing the wild card this week. But yeah, I love the defense. Cresswell, Stones, and Cancelo. I had Areola as well on my bench boost, so that worked out pretty well. I would take 1 clean sheet out of 2 games. So it looks like you had a decent week.
Yeah, we'll go into my one quickly then. This is my one, 85 points, pretty similar. It took a -4 though. As you can see, a couple of good returns in defense. Unfortunate with Dallas. He was my first sub, unfortunately, and the second one was Target, so a bit frustrating. Again, like Josh, Bruno captain pick, Gundogan vice, bit annoying, bit frustration, but we move on, and it's not too bad in my opinion. I mean, it could have been a lot better. It could have also gone a lot worse. So, 85 points, I'll take that from Gameweek 24.
Yeah, it was good to see Ings score because I kind of felt like I was out on my own picking Ings a little bit, but it's good to see him deliver against Wolves.
Yeah, I think I brought him in before the Man United game. And yeah, but then I was panicking a little bit, but hold it out and eventually you will start scoring. James, are you able to bring up your team and how you did in the last game week?
Yeah,
let's see if this works.
I just want to quickly touch on that Bruno captain call. I feel like if you don't captain Bruno sometimes, like he just destroys, like you can literally harm your rank. So like I think that was like my main thought process behind that last week, because of like Gundogan, it's not quite there yet in terms of his ownership, but whereas Bruno, if he he can literally damage you if you're not captaining him, it's crazy.
That's it, and it's almost like if you don't captain him, what's the point in having him? You've almost just got him for insurance. Like you'll get absolutely buried if you don't have him at all. So you just got to kind of have him in there.
So this is your team, James, and you've blown both of us out of the water this week. Talk us through it.
Well, it's a week or two halves, right? So I got a good score overall, like really happy with that. But the bench boost was a bit of a flop, to be honest. Areola coming in, decent. I would have taken that before the game week. Soufal delivering again, as expected. Disappointing from Antonio, and Antonio obviously not playing. Disappointing from Bamford. Gundogan captaincy paid off massively. Salah and Bruno delivering. Lowton, this is the one. Like I literally just bought him because he was cheap, but it just obviously paid off massively. The defense really delivering there for a pretty big score. So. Really helped my overall ranks. I've been kind of dropping the last few weeks. I had quite a few red arrows, so this has kind of got me back to where I need to be. So decent week.
Yeah, that's a huge week.
Unbelievable.
Potentially season defining, Josh. Potentially.
Definitely. That Matthew Lowton, when I saw he scored that goal, I was just like, oh my days, that is unbelievable.
So jammy, because I think the smart move was Ben Mee, and then it was just kind of like cheap people like me going for Lowton. So definitely paid off.
Yeah, definitely. Right, shall we move on, Ben?
Yeah, so it's time for my favourite part of the week. Now, James said he didn't support a Premier League team, so he thought he got away with it. But no, I've got the questions, lads. Don't you worry. It's FPL trivia quiz time. Josh, would you like to go through the rules?
As always, yes. So what we'll do, it's going to be 60 seconds on the clock. James will have he can answer as many questions as he can in that time. The highest score we've ever had is a 7. And I think it's FPL Don that still holds the record. The lowest we've had, I think, is 1 or a half.
We gave a half.
I thought it was a half. Yeah.
So I've got the time ready. Are you two ready?
I'm ready if you're ready, James.
I'm ready. I just need to get 1 point. I don't want to be the lowest guy. Let's go. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go in 3, 2, 1. Who is the most transferred player in ahead of Gameweek 25?
Rafinha.
Danny Ings. Which player got the most points in Gameweek 24?
Gundogan.
Aubameyang. Salah is currently the Premier League top scorer, but how many goals does he have?
12.
17. Which defender has the highest amounts of FPL assists so far this season?
Cresswell.
Correct. What is the current FPL price of Jack Grealish at the time of recording?
7.4.
7.7. Which team has attempted the most crosses in the Premier League so far this season?
Liverpool.
Correct. Which Premier League player has missed the most big chances this season?
That's a great question. Martial.
Patrick Bamford. Name a defender on FPL that has dropped in price this week.
Stones.
Unfortunately, it was James.
That was a shocker.
Justin.
Two.
I mean,
at
there's
least
a
you're
couple
not
of
the
tough ones.
worst. At least you're not the worst.
There's a couple of tough ones.
I didn't think Justin would have dropped because when they're red arrowed, when they're red flagged, sometimes they don't actually drop. I think De Bruyne held his price for like 3 weeks or something. So bit of a shocker there, lads.
There's a couple of defenders in there that you probably wouldn't expect, but the main defenders to have dropped in price, you'd say Ogbonna, James Justin, Rob Holding. They're the ones.
Holding's dropped. That surprises me.
Holding has dropped. Yeah. So he's now 4.5 million, I believe. But 2 points. It's not the end of the world. It's not the worst.
I would have taken it before the stream.
But yeah, we'll move on to the Game Week 25 preview. Down below is the fixtures that are happening now. Is there fixtures that we need to keep an eye on for this week? We know the deadline is in 19 minutes.
Cool.
Is there fixtures we should be targeting here?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think you've got to look at obviously the two doubles this week. Southampton, Leeds, they're the main ones. And what's nice about them is that their first game happens immediately. Obviously, we've got tonight Leeds, Wolves, and then tomorrow at lunchtime we've got Southampton, Chelsea. So it'll give us a good indicator on how a lot of captain picks and just picks in general are going to go this week. So they're the two main ones. James, any that tickle your fancy?
Yeah, I just think, to load up on points, I'm looking at United, Newcastle, especially for Bruno and Shaw or any other United defenders you've got. I think that could be a great spot.
Yeah, I agree totally. I've brought in Luke Shaw on the wild card this week. I've seen your TikTok, you raving about him. So as a United fan, had to be done. What about you, Ben?
Yeah.
What in terms of the fixtures that I'm sort of targeting? I've got to say the Leeds boys, isn't it? As much as I give Bamford a lot of slander, he's probably a good choice this week. But as I stick to my guns, he will not be transferred in for me this week. So I have to say Rafinha looks really good. Since game week 10, I think it is, he's outscored Bamford. I think it's by a couple of points here or there, but he's matching the output that Bamford has. What was it? I was saying on Glenn's channel earlier, the last 5 fixtures, 7.6 points a game. That is a ridiculous output for a player like that. So definitely the Leeds boys, you've got to look to get in. Another team maybe targeting. Me and Josh have banged on about them so much. It's the Fulham boys. And defensively, really solid. We've said this for how long now, Josh? It's been a while.
So long.
I mean, I've brought one in this week, and I'm sure as we go further on into the show today, we'll see which Fulham player I've brought in. But yeah, there's a couple of teams there which you got to target.
Yeah, I think it's a great shout on Fulham defenders. I mean, I'm starting Areola this week. I've been Martinez all year, huge fan. Even bought an Aston Villa shirt. So it's like, but to go to Areola just for 1 week, it just feels like I brought him in for the bench boost last week. He's got a good fixture this week. I really don't like Martinez versus Leicester. I think that could get ugly for him. But so it seems like a smart move this week.
Yeah, so we'll look at Game Week 25 captaincy picks and a team reveal, I guess, for us three. In terms of the captaincy options, James, is there a standout one or maybe 2 players that you are looking at as captaincy options?
Yeah, it's Ings and Bamford, and I'm going to go with Bamford. Just based on form and the fixtures. I mean, Southampton, yes, it's a double, but for me, Leeds just feels like they've got much easier fixtures this week. It just feels like a better spot to go with Bamford. I also think he's going to be so heavily captained. Going back to your point on effective ownership for Bruno, it's going to be similar, for Bamford this week. So I think the safe choice is just to go with Bamford.
Yeah, I have to totally agree with you. I'm in the Bamford camp as well. He's got my armband right now. I think if you're looking at a bit of differential, you could probably go Rafinha. I think he's obviously so low owned that if he does return massively, you're going to see a huge rank increase. What about you, Ben? Is there anyone else that you've considered this week?
I have considered Bruno. I must admit, but that's the thing. I'm Man United against a low block team is something that concerns me, especially at home. We've seen that they've kind of struggled here or there to break teams down. I've considered Danny Ings. I have considered him, but I just haven't got the kahunas to go through with it, to be completely honest with you guys. I wanted to, I really did, but I just can't look past the amount of people that are going to be captaining Bamford, and I've got to cover myself. So captaining Rafinha is probably going to be the way to go. Should we reveal our teams now?
Let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I don't mind.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my team at the moment. Areola in goal, a back 4 as it stands. I mean, 15 minutes. I really shouldn't be changing it right now, but potentially could. I've gone Diaz and Cancelo. Diaz, I think, sure to start this week, coming off the back of a substitute appearance. Cancelo is the one I'm probably concerned about being dropped, but we'll move on. And if he doesn't play, I imagine he won't come off the bench. Is what I'm thinking. The midfield, Salah, Son, Fernandes, been there for ages like that. Rafinha, the one who's come in, and I've captained him. And then up top, Danny Ings, and my gem for this week, Josh Maja. Last week I pinned him as the differential to go for last week, and I didn't transfer him myself, regrettably. So I've brought him in this week, and hopefully he can return for me. On the bench are the injury doubts. Antonio Gundogan. It could bite me in the bum, but I'm hoping that it doesn't. Guys, what do you make of that? Is it a good call or?
Yeah, Josh Maja, that's an unreal differential, man. I've not seen many people go for that, but it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you've got me worried a bit about Gundo, to be honest, because he's starting for me, and I'm kind of hoping he's going to play. But it's like we were talking about earlier. Like if he comes on late for a 1-point cameo, it's going to be a disaster. So I don't know. And then Grealish is a risk as well. So I don't know which way to go. But yeah, I think given the 15 you've got, I think you're lining up with the right 11 there. It looks strong.
Josh, would you like to reveal your wildcard team for this week? I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, I will indeed. I just want to touch on what you said about Grealish, because apparently Matt Target is taking him out of his FPL team. So that is huge.
Oh, don't say that. The chat's probably going mad right now. I see every other comment's about Grealish.
So yeah, I just want to give you a heads up on that. So this is the wildcard team as it stands. 13 minutes left. I hope I don't make any changes, that's for sure. Areola's starting in goal. Great fixture. I'll be surprised if Sheffield United score against that Fulham team. Opted for Struijk in defence, mainly because of the funds. Don't have a lot of money, if I'm honest. 3.9 million. Even if they do concede in both games, I think it's a risk worth taking, to be honest. He's very lethal from corners. We've seen against Arsenal and even against Crystal Palace. He didn't score, but he probably could have had a hat-trick of headers. Luke Shaw, as I mentioned, is in the team for the next 3 weeks. Then I'll offload him for Cresswell. I just didn't fancy keeping Cresswell with West Ham's tough fixtures. I feel like the only way he's going to get any sort of returns is through attacking. That's why he's out for me. Cancelo's up next. He's in my team. Like Ben said, if he doesn't play, I don't think he features. And I feel like the upside, if he does play, is huge. We've seen he gets forward a lot. He's on the edge of the box pretty much all game. So I don't think that will change against Arsenal. The midfield of Bruno, Rafinha, Maddison and Salah. I was trying to get Grealish in, and then obviously these injury doubts came apparent. And also Maddison's that little bit cheaper as well. I quite like Leicester against Villa. The only reason Villa don't tend to keep so many clean sheets is due to Emi Martinez. So I feel like with this sort of Leicester attack, they're so much firepower going forward. So Maddison's in there. Fernandes on the vice. Rafinha there. Good differential this week still. I'm not sure what his percentage owned is. I think it's still under 5% or something, which is mental. Mo Salah, I think he'll get some goals this weekend. Danny Ings, Harry Kane, and then Patrick Bamford captain. And then obviously on the bench, Emi Martinez, Ben White, Ilkay Gundogan, and El Mohammadi in there for the bench boost. Looking forward to game week 26. What do you think, boys?
It's good, man. I like it. And yeah, that was going to be my question. He bench boosted next week, so it makes a lot of sense. I love the Maddison pick. He's still a differential, really. I think about 15% owned. You could go him or Barnes. I think either way, there's loads of upside there. Yeah. Good to see fitting Rafinha in. I mean, I think Rafinha's quite low owned because the midfield template is so set right now. Everyone's kind of got some combination of 7 players basically in midfield. So maybe he's difficult to fit in. So that could be a really nice differential for you. Love the defense. Ings, Kane, Bamford. That's a lot of firepower up front. Yeah, I think you set up really well for this week and next week.
Yeah, that's the plan. And also, I think game week 29 rolls around. I have, 8 or 9 players ready to play for the blank. So that's perfect. And then within the next couple of weeks, like with Shaw out for Cresswell, hopefully getting towards an 11-man team for the blank in 29 as well. So hopefully it's a good time to wildcard, and hopefully they actually release the fixtures sometime soon.
Is that so? Game week 29. So you're trying to get 11 players. That's impressive. Yeah, I'm targeting like 8 or 9 maybe. Is that based on the Spurs Villa game being moved to 29?
Yeah, it is based on that. So if that doesn't happen, I think you'll see a lot of people barely have 5, I reckon, because it's a lot of the lower league teams like your Brightons, Newcastle, those types of teams are playing, aren't they? So hence why I've gone with the Leeds triple up, because obviously they do play in 29. So I think they're one of the best teams to target in 29. So it is looking forward quite a lot as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes loads of sense, because if you're looking at those teams who are like nailed on to playing 29, you don't want to triple up on West Ham right now. The fixtures are just rough. Arsenal's fixtures aren't that great. You don't want to triple up on Newcastle anyway. So your only option really for a triple up now is Leeds. So I think you're making the right call. You just got to hope that the Spurs Villa game gets moved.
Literally.
Yeah, that Spurs game, I really do hope. And I think every single FPL manager is probably in the same boat at the moment with that Spurs game. Hopefully it does get moved to 29. If it doesn't, the potential for another double maybe somewhere along the lines. But yeah, James, have you got your team ready? Because I'm dying to see what you've put.
It's nothing special this week. I was so focused on getting the bench boost ready last week, and I'm looking ahead. It's like Josh, I'm so focused on game week 29 that these game weeks I'm not even really putting that much focus in. I'm just kind of thinking about the doubles and the blanks. But so Areola in goal, rolling with that Fulham defence for one more week. I'm starting Stones just because I think it's probably his turn. I don't know what's going on with this rotation with Laporte at the moment, but it kind of feels like this is his week. Sure, I'm going to give Loughton one more week because he was fantastic last week. Grealish, I'm going to be in big trouble if he's not playing, but I've got to start him just in case. Again, same thing with Gundogan. I'm just hoping he's going to start. Salah, Fernandez, Son, the template, Ings, Bamford, captain, Antonio first on bench. I'm really doubting Cancelo this week. I'm just not sure he's going to start, so I'll move him second on bench, and then Martinez on bench as well, which could really come back to bite me, given the amount of save points he's been getting and clean sheets. But I've got to go with the best fixture this week, I think.
Yeah, it looks unreal, to be fair, considering you haven't touched like a wild card or anything like that. It looks very good going forward. In terms of Martinez, because obviously you've brought him in, do you think it is a massive risk against that Leicester team? Because obviously Leicester have been scoring goals quite frequently recently.
Yeah, I think this week he's going to get save points, but I'd be very surprised if there was a clean sheet. And I think if I'm going to evaluate keepers, this is an unusual situation for me because I always have a 4.5 and a 4 to start off with, usually on the same team. I never alternate because I think it's just a headache that I don't need. So this is like a weird one for me. I'm just kind of thinking Sheffield United, the worst attack in the league, I think, at least they have been for a long time. So I'm more likely to get a clean sheet with Areola. So I've got to roll with him this week, I think.
Yeah, I agree totally.
Let's have a look at a couple of comments then that people have been saying. Seb on golf. I believe that is the actual Seb on golf.
Is that the actual? Really?
I think it is. I think he was commenting earlier on saying he loves your TikToks, James. So
yeah, well, we do follow each other on TikTok. Yeah, it's got me thinking here. So do you not think Cancelo should start? It's a good point. Yeah, it is a good point. I'm worried about the cameo. That's what concerns me, coming on at 80 minutes or something like that. So I think Stones is the safer bet.
Yeah, I think if I see that City game being like a 2-0 or something, I can see Guardiola just bringing him on last 5 minutes to shore things up 100% with that. I do think Stones is definitely a starter this week as well.
Yeah.
I don't see, if he gets dropped this game, it really puts him at risk, like going forward, in my opinion, as an actual asset. So yeah, interesting on that.
Yeah, I'm with Seb on this one. I'm starting Cancelo and just hoping that he either plays from the beginning or doesn't play it, and then I can have someone at least come in off the bench, and that's I can see each side of the argument there.
He's made a good point. He's got me thinking, and now I've got to think about Grealish as well, and Gundogan. Nightmare.
Let's have a look at some more questions here. Here's an interesting one. Should I drop Gundogan for Ollie Watkins?
That is interesting, isn't it? I'm going to go out there. I'm going to say yes, because I just don't see him featuring in this Arsenal game whatsoever. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I'd be starting Watkins for sure. Yeah, no question.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to be saved for the Champions League. Is my thinking behind it? Because would he want to risk it against Arsenal, who potentially, like, you got De Bruyne back and other players in that position? I think he might save him for the Champions League next week.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at some more. Here's one from Frederick: Maddison and Kane, or Salah and Bamford?
Oof, that's a tough one. Go on, James. I'll let you go first.
I like Maddison and Kane.
Ooh, that's interesting. I'm leaning towards the Salah and Bamford, because I just feel like Bamford's a better asset to own than Maddison, and Kane and Salah, it's just a 50-50 really. I feel like both on their day could easily score 25 points or something stupid like that. So what about you, Ben? What are you thinking?
It's a bit of a
it's a draw at the minute. You got to pick one.
Well, I'm gonna go Maddison and Kane. For probably obvious reasons, if you're a follower of the channel. We won't say any more about that, and we'll move on. A question from Adam about Josh Maja. Do you think he'll do better than Diengane? I want to definitely miss. There we go. Thank you, Josh, for pronouncing that right for me. Well, I've brought him in, so my obvious answer is yes. But I'm interested to see whether you two think that, in terms of cheap options up front, which of these two do you think comes out on top?
I think, I would go with you on Josh Maja, especially after last week. I think he looks like a potentially explosive player, and for that price point, you can't lose with him.
Yeah, I think I watched Diagne last week, because obviously they were facing United. He looked quite a handful, and I think with West Brom's fixtures, I think their next four are very, very good. I was looking at Mateus Pereira, as he's been a good little differential I've had this season, and I think he could. I think they'll both be very similar. I think they'll get similar sort of numbers. So in that regard, I think Josh Maja is obviously the better option, being 0.5 cheaper. So It's an interesting one.
We got Glenn, as per usual, in the chat. He said 2-0 about something. He's an Arsenal fan, and he was getting a bit worried when we were talking about the teams in blank game week 29 and stuff like that. So we'll move on. Sevas, I'm playing Stones and Cancelo and have Reece James on the bench, first defender. Would you start Reece James? Is he nailed on to start with Thomas Tuchel?
That is $1 million question, isn't it? Who's starting in Tuchel's lineup? It's a bit of a nightmare. I don't know if you know anything like more so about that, James.
No, I mean, I'm avoiding Chelsea at the moment. My plan, this is back when Lampard was manager, was to bring Chilwell in around about now, and I can't commit to it. It's just too unstable at the moment.
Yeah, I think the only asset from Chelsea that I'd probably potentially look at, but he's got to pick up a lot more form, is Timo Werner. I think he's like the only one that's almost nailed on in that team for me. So I'd probably stick with what he's doing in terms of playing Stones and Cancelo. So it's almost guaranteed that one of them would start, and then worst case scenario, you've got Reece James coming off the bench anyway.
Yeah, and I think the other issue just with Reece James, I mean, we talked about the risk of cameos. I think he did just play like 10 minutes in the last game or something, so that would worry me.
Yeah. Do you want to
go? Thomas. I mean, it's a lot of speculation on Twitter right now. How confident are we that Grealish is injured? I mean, it's been crazy couple of hours since Twitter basically imploded on itself and said that Grealish was out injured. Is there anything concrete to suggest that he is in fact out injured? Maybe the who was it that transferred him out? Was it Target?
Matty Target, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he just takes FPL really seriously and he's planning for a double game week and he's looking at game week 29. I mean, who knows? Because I think there's that new Twitter account where it's just like a bot and it figures out.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's class.
So good. And there's like loads of weird stuff happens there. Like players are transferring other players out and they end up starting. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. One thing at the moment, since the De Bruyne injury, everyone has got a really deep bench because we've all got so much money to kind of throw around. So everyone should have a couple of players who are able to come on. So he should be all right. I wouldn't worry too much.
Yeah, I think worst case you start him and he plays. If he's injured, he's not going to be coming off the bench, that's for sure. So you're going to have either one scenario or the other. So not too much of a risk. And that is the deadline pass now. It's 31 minutes past 6. So we're all locked in. That's very scary for my wild card. No changes now.
I mean, I've almost forgot about my team for 5 minutes, and I think it's a good thing that I didn't change anyone else in my team. But yeah, that is the deadline done. Jordan asked a very interesting question. And a player that I think a lot of people on a wild card could potentially think about, but because of his club, West Brom, people may be disregarding him. James, what do you reckon about Maitland-Niles as an option?
You know what? He'd be a differential. I haven't even looked at him at all. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just not looking at West Brom players at all. But I think, let me just have a look at his price, because that will 4.6. Yeah, and he's nailed on, isn't he now? Could be. I don't know. I think there's better players in that price range, to be honest. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Although he's playing central midfield, which is obviously a massive benefit considering he's a starting defender. But I just don't see West Brom keeping clean sheets whatsoever. Even when Sam Johnston bails them out, they still seem to concede goals. So for me, I personally wouldn't go for it. Like you said, there's a lot of better options at 4.5-ish. Like we mentioned, like Rob Holding, I'd even say is probably better than him after this tough round of fixtures for Arsenal. So yeah, what about you, Ben?
I mean, I can see where he's coming from in terms of the thinking behind it. A lot of people kind of go and try and think, look, who's the next Lord Lundstrom? Who's going to be that player that is a defender but can play midfield? And I'm not too sure it is Maitland-Niles. I think going forwards, the only one that I'd consider is that new striker whose name I can't pronounce. But yeah, I don't know. I think you've got to give him time as well. But yeah, they definitely agree with you guys. There's definitely a few more options that even as natural defenders could produce more attacking output.
Exactly, yeah.
Kieran is in here. Big up, Kieran. Make sure you follow his TikTok. I'm sure all of you guys do already, but DCL officially triple captained against Liverpool.
Wow.
Love that.
Wow.
Can you imagine if he actually returns? It would be unreal. I would love to see his reaction on TikTok. It would be absolutely brilliant.
I'd love it. I think I just want to see it for the reaction, to be honest, on this stream. But yeah, moving on. We'll take one or two more questions if that's all right with you, James. Ewan says, thoughts on Amity considering Justin is out and he's 3.9. So he has risen already 0.1, I think.
Interesting. I saw you guys were tweeting about him this week. Was he part of your plans potentially?
Yeah, it was me. It's more today sort of thing. I was just looking like the Struick decision. I was trying to save money if I could. I like the look of Leicester's fixtures, to be fair. But I think it was like FPL Foxy. He replied to the tweet saying Castagna is back, but he's like a glass. He'll break at any moment. Yeah. So it's interesting. I didn't go for him in the end because with a bench boost next week, I don't want to be trying to move, like taking -4s a week after I've just done a wild card. So probably not. I think you need to see tomorrow with Justin out. I think it's going to be Ricardo Pereira and Castagna. I think that was the long-term goal anyway of Leicester at the start of the season before the injuries. So hopefully, I think it would be great. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's going to actually happen.
All right, I'm going to need to stop you there, Josh. I'm going to need to stop everyone there. The double Gameweek 26 has just been announced.
No, you're joking. You're joking.
I'm not joking.
What?
Wow. Okay.
That is just my luck, honestly.
So that is a bit of breaking news after the deadline. I think they've got someone deep into FPL Twitter watching over, seeing who's... But yeah, they've announced the double game week fixtures. I'm
just trying to get them up.
Try and get
Villa
them up.
Tottenham 29. Perfect.
Oh, unreal.
That's great news for all of us, I think. That is great news for all of us.
That's great. So I'm just on Ben Crellin now. So Spurs, Villa, Fulham will double in 26 and play in 29. Okay, I think the fixtures are pretty close to or exactly what he was predicting. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Josh, have you got the fixtures up on your screen at the moment?
Yeah, I can go on Ben Crellin's Twitter. Give me 2 seconds and I'll get it up. That's massive news, though, if it is true.
Massive. I mean, this has been a pretty successful stream. We had the deadline. Now we've had the double game week fixtures announced.
Yeah, here we go. If you're sharing the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so double game weeks for 14 teams in 26, which is what we sort of thought anyway through his spreadsheet. 2 teams in 27, City and Southampton, which is big for those Ings owners. That's why I brought him in over Watkins. And then, as we mentioned, Villa Tottenham going to 29, so neither team blanks, which is huge for that, because I know a lot of people already have Villa and Tottenham assets. And it says here, Tottenham versus Southampton and Aston Villa versus Everton are the only postponements that haven't been rescheduled. Aston Villa versus Everton could move to 28, which is obviously would be the only double of that week. So that is huge. As you can see, the fixtures here, some very good ones. What would you say is the best fixture for 26 currently, as you're looking at it, James?
So I think, it's got to be Tottenham, hasn't it? Unless things have changed. Let me just bring it up myself. Burnley, Fulham. That's a Kane triple captaincy. If I still have a triple captaincy, I'd be rolling it out there. So anyone who's still got it, you've landed on your feet there with those fixtures.
I think one that would probably go under the radar is Villa, Leeds, and Sheffield United. I see a lot of goals in that. If you obviously, like I mentioned, Danny Ings, but if you've got a Watkins, Grealish, definitely don't sell Grealish right now if he'll be back to that game.
Yeah,
I'm liking the look of all of these. I've still got my triple captainship, and I've planned to get Kane in on a -4 this week.
Perfect.
It's going to be huge.
It's just now a case for me. When do I even use my bench boost? Like, I've still got that as well. So
I was going to say, man, I think it looks like Tottenham are going to have multiple double game weeks. So maybe you play the bench boost in 26 and just save it for later.
Yeah. I've got to do a bit of thinking now, and I imagine the next week or so of my life is going to be FPL stress all over. But I'm all here for it. At least finally they've announced these double game week fixtures, and shout out to Ben Crellin. He's spot on with pretty much everything that he's said.
Absolutely.
Just come out a bit late for the wildcarders.
That's all right. Well, what he predicted anyway seems to be pretty much set in stone as we thought anyway. It was a lot of panic, but absolute goat of FPL Twitter, man. That guy, he needs to be paid for the job he does for our community.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. Yeah.
I can just imagine that Premier League, the interns just sat there. He's got to reschedule it, and he's probably just scrolling through Ben Crellin's Twitter, taking the fixtures left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a better way to round up an FPL Fridays than that.
Fantastic.
Really was a fantastic stream. Probably one of the best ones we've had, Josh. Would you say so?
Definitely. Thanks a lot for coming on, James. If you haven't already as well, make sure you check him out on what's your socials if you want to plug them?
So it's just TikTok is just Jamesadamshaw, and then on Twitter it's FPL Talk, and that's all the socials I'm on. And on there is the league code. I'm giving away a Premier League shirt for the winner, or if I win it, the person with the highest score in game week 38 gets any Premier League shirt they want. So go over and join the league.
That's brilliant.
We've linked his Twitter and his TikTok in the description down below, so make sure you go and check that out. Some really good content on TikTok. I know I sit there and feed off your advice. So
cheers, guys.
Thank you for coming on
really,
again.
really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. Look forward to doing it again in the future.
Definitely. We'll have to get you on again. So thanks for watching. Also, check out Instagram, Twitter if you want to see some live updates from the game tonight. Big one. I've got Captain Bamford, Ben, Captain Rafinha. It's going to be a good one.
It's going to definitely be unreal. As always, make sure you like, comment, share this all about. I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
I've been James.
Hey.
And we'll see you guys
next time. Have a good game week.